Here's a day in the life of a graphic designer that can work from anywhere. Good morning, creative. Rise and shine. Today I want to invite you to spend the day with me as a remote graphic designer. So we're going to take these dogs for a walk, grab some coffee, and we're going to get to work. Let's go. So I've been freelancing full-time remotely for about a year, which is kind of crazy now that I think about it, because like, what is time? But since I've been doing, full-time freelancing, it's really been an eye-opening experience. Something that I do feel really grateful for is the fact that I have this opportunity to be able to work from different places. And this is really the first time where I've been running my own business and not in New York City, where I'm based. My wife and I came to New Orleans in Louisiana, where her and her family are from. And, I've been able to set up here and work for the last couple of months. I really love having this kind of flexibility because it just opens my mind to so many other possibilities, right? Things that I never really thought would be possible, like being able to work from New Orleans, being able to maybe work from a place like California or Seattle or Mexico, like just different locations like that. Over this past year, I've really been happy and feeling fulfilled and excited because I do have that flexibility because, let's face it, most graphic designers can pretty much work from anywhere where they have a computer and an internet signal and they can make calls or do Zoom meetings. There isn't really a necessity to have people in the office all the time. I can certainly understand having social interactions and human interactions, that's super important. It doesn't have to be, every day of the week. Right? So this has really opened up a lot of possibilities for designers. While success is important, so is your happiness, right? And while making money is great, so is being fulfilled. I would say that some of the biggest challenges are, sometimes when you go to a new place or you go somewhere different, you're not exactly sure what the setup is going to be or where you can work from. What are the essential pieces that I need for that portable setup? And so it took a little bit of experimenting to figure that out. I don't really have a ton of space where I can have just a standing desk. So I invested in one of these, which sort of, raises to different adjustments. And then I can lock it in place once I have it set to a height that I'm happy with. One of the first things that I decided to invest in, a tri-screen setup that I could use with my laptop. I believe the one that I'm using here is called the Copgain. I don't know what the name means, but this is one of the better brands that I came across. I've been so happy with this because it just makes my life so much easier, right? To have that real estate, to have those 3 big screens where, I can have Photoshop open here, but I can have my email and my music, it just folds in on itself and you can literally pack it up within probably 2 or 3 minutes. I, of course, know that I needed to have some kind of drawing tablet. And if you've seen a few of my other videos, you'll know that I love the Huion drawing tablets. And I've done a couple of videos on them that I'll put links for below. But this is a must-have essential tool for any graphic designer who's doing any type of, photo manipulation, compositing, key art, or illustration work. At this point, an extension of my hand, basically, anytime that I'm working. I know they make some really cool ones that are quite large, and they actually have the whole screen on the tablet. As cool as those are, I didn't think that it would be practical for me as someone who is looking to work remotely and work from different locations. So instead, I opted to go a little bit smaller with these 2 Huion tablets that I ended up getting. So now that the dogs have been walked, we are caffeinated and fed, I'm pretty much ready to go and start diving into my first design project of the day. I've downloaded some photography that I need, some logos, and some templates for a brand new key art project. Now, for obvious reasons, I won't be able to share that project with you yet until it's finalized, but for now, we're just getting started on it. We're in the beginning comping stages of a new project. So let's get into it. Oh, and before that, I just realized that you guys can probably see this giant green screen over here. That's literally just like a green sheet that I ordered off of Amazon so that I could record some reels and YouTube shorts and then just cut out the background. So that's why that's there, in case you're wondering what that giant green sheet is in the background. So don't pay attention to that. So as I'm working on this project, I'm starting to look for some stock photography and assets that I can use. And usually for commercial work, I will use things like Shutterstock and Getty. Most of the time, if you're doing a client project, the client will have a subscription to a site like that. And that's what I use for myself as well. I have my own Shutterstock account. You can use sites like Unsplash or Pexels or some of the free ones, just not for commercial work. I would primarily use those for either personal projects or maybe if I'm putting together some thumbnail images for like a YouTube video or something like that. But for commercial work, I always recommend using something that you can license, and of course ask your client if they have an account so that you can use theirs. All right, y'all, ready to get back at it for our second work session of the day. So what I'm going to be jumping on next is a branding project that I've been working on recently. And I'm on the third round. So I'm going to be doing some revisions for these logos. And it's for a rebrand of an audio production house. Again, I won't be able to show too much of this right now, but I'm hoping that once we have something approved, I can share it with you. And I've also been documenting the whole process so that once the project does conclude, I'll be able to share the entire process in a video. So I know you can't really tell right now, it probably just looks like a big checkerboard, but these are all of my artboards. And what I usually do with branding and logo projects is I like to show each logo on a white background and each logo on a dark background. Initially just starting with the single color logos until the client approves something, and then I'll kind of move into the color phase. So right now we're still kind of narrowing it down to a couple of single color options, but then we'll be moving on to the color. So if you're watching and wondering like, what the hell is he doing right now? Basically, I received an email from the client and we sort of narrowed it down to four options from the second round to the third round. So all I was doing is going in here and removing all of the other artboards that we basically eliminated, so that I can narrow it down to just these 4 designs that we're going to be focusing on moving forward. I think like regulating the nervous system is something that I've been really interested in the last couple of months, especially because sometimes we're not always aware of all of the ways that stress is affecting us and building up in our bodies. There are going to obviously be periods where, yes, we are stressed, we are busy, we are working. Part of my goal with this balance is to try and, you know, even it out a little bit more by doing some things that will help me kind of get back to a more calm and sort of peaceful place. For me, this is where meditation and stretching and exercise all become so important. I've also realized that, you know, those are still like active ways of de-stressing, whether you hike or go for a run, whatever it is that you do. I think it's important to have some kind of activity, not only for the nervous system stuff, but also just our physical health. And at the end of the day, sometimes I will do other activities that aren't necessarily quite as like physically active. Maybe just things like reading comic books is something that I've recently gotten back into. And it really just helps me wind down and like prepare my body for sleep. Because if you're going all day, all the time, it's like trying to stop a car on a dime that's going from like 80 miles an hour to 0 really quickly. You can't just go from 80 to 0 like that. I really enjoy having the freedom to be able to do that, because there was a lot of times when I worked in an office where I might be able to get out and go to, you know, the gym during lunch, and you know, it was hard because there were days where I didn't get to go. And that still happens sometimes, but I'm trying to make it more of a priority, because if I don't, who will? So after taking this break, I'm going to get back at it for a little while longer. I'm probably going to be working on a mood board that I want to share with you for an upcoming project. So just as promised, last project of the day before we wrap things up as the sun is setting outside, I finally have a project that I can share with you, because it's something that we're going to be doing on this very channel. So I'm pretty excited about this. It's going to be is a key art movie design poster. With any project like this, I always start off by creating some mood boards, references, inspiration. But because I'm going to be documenting this whole process from start to finish and showing you how I approach a key art design project, I'm going to be doing this for myself in this video. So I'm starting by going to websites like Pinterest, Behance, IMP Awards, and just looking for good references, not only for the horror movie poster that I'm creating, but also for things like lighting and poses, because I'm going to be doing the photos for this one myself. What I'm doing here is just looking for different pieces of inspiration. And then once I have all of the images that I want, I'm going to download them and save them to a folder on my desktop. Then I'm going to jump over to InDesign and put them together in a presentation. I've basically just set up my cover page here, and I'm doing this to show you what I would normally do for like a real world commercial project. All right, so now I'm going to take you through the final presentation. Like I said, we have our cover page, we've got our inspiration with some more photographic references and concepts, we've got some graphic ones here just to mix it up and maybe try a different style, and then I've got some more of the classic horror vampire movies just to make sure that I'm staying on track as far as the tone and the look and feel. All right, then I've got my lighting setups, as I mentioned. Setup 1, we've got some nice references here for the eerie bottom light. We've got setup 2 with the dramatic overhead light, and we've got setup 3 with the rim light that we're going to try. And with all of these, I'm going to explore using a colored tube light that I have, along with a nice fill light. And then of course we have our poses here. So we're going to try some stuff with the vampire teeth, the fangs, maybe some biting, and just some cool sinister expressions that we're going to capture. And then of course we have the hands, including the ones that I generated from Adobe Firefly. Okay, and then at the very end, I've got my shot list just to make sure that I capture everything I need to when it comes time to shoot. So this is the last project of the day today that I worked on, putting together this mood board for the upcoming horror movie poster tutorial. I think you guys are really going to enjoy that one. I know I'm pretty excited about it. But in the meantime, thanks so much for spending the day with me.